Whoa. No video. What happened?
I don't know.
That's crazy. All right. Welcome to Tone Talk with Mark Uzansky and Dave Friedman. I guess I deleted the video off of the intro. That's so weird. I don't know what happened. So I will edit that back in. But guys, welcome to Tone Talk. It's Mark and Dave from Tone Talk, and we've got Rick Skillman from Eminence Speakers. What's going on, Rick?
What's going on, guys? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, man. I didn't realize. I was like, I was expecting the.
Yeah, so was I. I'm like, what happened?
So I was going to do this. I was going to go. I was going to.
Oh yeah.
Look at that baby.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So, but
which one's that one?
This is the. What is this one? It's a little dark in here.
Platinum
Alnico.
Platinum L1240A.
Oh, Alnico. Okay.
Yeah. So it's very cool. So what's going on, Rick?
Staying busy, and yeah, things are going rather well. 19 months into, I think 19, 20 months into this new adventure after 20 years under on a different ship, and so it's been a lot to learn, a few things to change, and some setting ourselves up for success for another 60 years. The company's 60 years. Eminence is 60 years old this year, and yeah, we're having a blast. It's a cool team, so I'm enjoying it because at this point, you've been in the industry. Dave's been in the industry for a minute, right? So, and you just kind of like a couple years, yeah, and you're just like, well, it's hard to be impressed. Sometimes it's like, yeah, okay, that's amazing, thank you, and joining this team and seeing their passion and yeah, I mean, we can dig into that later when you want to know more about details about the history, but super cool. So I am doing well, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, and you're coming to us from Texas. You said where about in Texas?
I'm about 45 minutes north of Austin, so the next county north. I'm in Georgetown, Texas, kind of on the fringe. If you turn left, you can get to a Starbucks and a grocery store. If you turn right, you're in the cows. So it's
right on the edge.
Yeah, it's just what I like. So
yeah, but Austin is a cool town. If you could, drive in there, check out some bands, some music, live music. I hear there's like good live music still going on over there.
Oh, I've been told there's like 300 venues that you can count as live music. Now that might be a person in their acoustic at a donut shop and all the way up to the ACL and the Moody Theater. But it's yeah, I mean, I play in two different bands here, and we stay as busy as we want. And there's always something between ACL and we have F1 here, and there's just always some festival going or something, where they shut down the entire downtown and Zilker Park. They put up these massive stages, and I mean, we just went Wednesday night and saw Stevie Nicks, which was fantastic.
I saw some footage of that on the social media that you posted or something. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird because when I go to a show, and I know this is probably the same for you guys, it's a little more carte blanche as far as like they look after you. You probably were given a lanyard or at least some passes into the show, but when you have the two daughters and the wife in tow and everything, it was like, it's a little more of a challenge, but I'm happy that I've been able to include them in such things many times over the years. And I mean, they're 21 and 18 now, and so they've kind of grown up with one foot in rock and roll and seeing what dad does. And yeah, I mean, Rick Purcell, who's teching for Waddy, we were like 9th row center. Didn't want to be any closer and
nice
be any further. Yeah, it was the perfect seats, and she nailed it. I mean, she's going to be 70. I was, did the Wikipedia dive afterwards. So I'm like, how old is she now? And she'll be 78 towards the end of May, and you wouldn't know it. I mean, she probably twirls slower than she used to, but she still twirls, and I can't even twirl. So there we go. So, and the band is like silly, like
yeah. Well, Waddy Wachtel is amazing, and I had such a huge crush on Stevie Nicks when I was 15.
No, we didn't.
God, I was just like, I love Stevie Nicks. Waddy Wachtel would be an amazing guest, Dave also to throw onto the list.
Yeah.
If we could ever get him on, maybe we'll reach out to you, Rick, if you have some connections there.
I have friends who have friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was insane, just incredible. Like I said, the whole band, he's the band leader. I guess he's been for many years on her like solo stuff, and he's played with everybody. And yeah, I mean, they just got it done. He had a real amplifier on stage and everything. It was great. So
wow.
But it was hidden. It looked like a stage riser bit, and then right before they came out, they just kind of cracked open these doors. So it was very directed at him, and he was not. I didn't see any ears on him, but he has a lot of hair up there, so I wasn't sure. But he was. I was far enough away where I wasn't eating the speaker, but it sounded great, and they were off the chain. They were really good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So I'm excited. You've helped me with some speakers recently, and I've tried them, and they sound killer. I put the 70C in my Mesa cabinet, and yeah, I'd love for you to talk about it. So, like, obviously, you said Eminence is 60, going on 60 years, right? So it's 1966 when they started.
Yes.
Yeah. That's so.
Why don't we go back and let's get a little background?
Yeah, go for it.
I don't want to bring up the past, but it's to give a little background for anyone who doesn't know, where you were before, or how you started in this business. I don't even know how you started in this business, but
finagled my way into it, right? I'd gone to school for business, but I worked in a totally different industry, and but done a bit of regional touring as a guitar player. I've always been a gigging player, and started deep diving into the boutique world. Found the gear page just like everybody else, and this is like in the early 2000s.
Oh wow.
I started with a couple different boutique companies, helping them out with a bit of marketing, like writing their print ad stuff, like Guitar World, Guitar Player, writing, and sometimes trading for gear. I don't think I ever got paid, but I ended up with a career. That's cool. And then Celestion had been advertising for somebody out in the West Coast, and two or three different folks had recommended me for the job. Like, we know this guy. He's a gearhead. He doesn't, he's not on hard drugs, sleeping in the gutter. He'll actually show up to work, and with all respect to those who like to live that style. But I went to the interview. It was the NAMM show 2005, and my daughter had been born, Peyton, who's now 21. She had been born on January 11th, and I remember it was like the 14th, or 15th. I went to the NAMM show, and I did a series of interviews. I think it was James Hedrick from Bad Cat, who previously owned Bad Cat, who had got me a pass for the show because he knew I was going to interview. They offered, but I was already covered, and that was it. They called me a few days later and just said, "Yeah, and I interviewed with like 5 of the guys, and I got the call, and then I said, I'll think about it. I never had traveled. I traveled a bit international. I'd been to Montreal, I'd been to Mexico, but not like get on a plane all the time and just bounce around the world and look after yourself. And that was it. I mean, I obviously accepted the job, and quickly kind of started helping out more and more with their guitar products. I mean, when I started, it was still Jimi Hendrix advertisements, and I think Johnny Halen was on board, Country Picker. It's still very active. A couple other guys, and they just didn't really have like the artist program. And then I met Kerry King at a summer NAMM in Indianapolis, and we got talking, and we found out we lived like 2 blocks from each other, from Slayer. This guy, sweetest guy in the world. He looks like he's about to punch you through the gates of hell, but he's a super sweet, mild guy, mellow guy. Anyways, and then they you know, they kind of allowed me to run amok with kind of product managing. Like, this is what I think the market needs. And early on, it was like the Alnica Gold was a project that I got to know the guys from Brad Paisley's camp, and his favorite speaker was a Blue, but he was popping them on tour, blowing them up. So he was using this Weber, you know, 30 or 50 or whatever watt speaker they have. And I approached him and just said, well, why don't we just do a higher powered version of this for you? That worked out well. And then, I did. I was involved with the creambacks. I always did a disclaimer, like, I'm not the engineer, but I still have a PowerPoint presentation from 2007 where it shows what eventually became creambacks and something like their copper back. They have a lot of backs. The copper back, which was like, I thought we should have like an answer to an EV style speaker. So anyways, when I left, I think our artist roster was about 240. Got the chance to work with Ed Van Halen and Joe Bonamassa and Peter Frampton, and became close friends with Alexander Dumble. I mean, just, you know, like, you couldn't have a movie about a dream sequence that would be any better than what my life was from that aspect of the job. It was going very well. And I spent 20 years there. And then I was approached on Facebook, on Messenger, like, hey, are you happy at Celestia? And I'm like, why do you ask? You know, and Eminence had just been purchased maybe a year or two before by BNC, or the BNC group. BNC is, put it into context, they are the Celestian of the pro audio world. They are so dominant. BNC, like all the big line array systems you hear when you go to concerts or into like a sports arena, and you see them all strung up all over the place. So they're the largest supplier, and they're based in Florence, Italy, which is not a bad place to go to work. And
that's a real bummer. You have to go there.
Yeah,
no, that last train ride for 3 hours is rough through Rome, and, you know. Which, for those who don't make it to that part of Italy, it very much looks like North San Diego County, like up by Escondido or so. It's very beautiful, but it's just vineyards and rolling hills, and so that did 20 years. Like I said, left. It was a sad goodbye, but happy for new beginnings. There have been a couple opportunities in the past, and it just happens to be that some of my colleagues were some of my best friends. I mean, our kids grew up together, and we were 20 years, And so he just said, dude, I can't, this is Andy, my former boss, but he was like, I can't tell you not to do that. I don't, go easy on us when you get there, but this is a great opportunity for you. And I don't foresee you moving to England anytime soon. So this is probably the right move. And I can thank him for that every day. I said, appreciate everything you guys have done. We still stay in touch. We're still quite social, and it's a small industry. So you have your strategy conversations, or, hey, how's the world going for you guys? What do you see? But, we don't get into the parts and the bits and the tone tweaks, but, I congratulated them for their last 2 or 3 launches being the last 2 or 3 things left on my roadmap that I had put out right before I decided to leave. I'm like, you guys are out of ideas now. Sorry. So
it's on you now. Right.
Yeah. Well, I think on that 2007 presentation, I had blackbacks and creambacks and a few other things, but no, they're great. And, it's my goal to build Eminence, which was already a great company that's done some great things in the past. And so we're not doing the Me Too thing anymore. We're building our own brand, and it's going really well. The reception's been great. That's my past. I worked for Celestia, now I'm at Eminence, and
there you have it.
Got a great team. Yeah. So.
That's cool. How amazing how like a career can turn out from the gear page, right?
There you go. Thank you, Gear Page. Yes, it was. Well, kind of, because it was like, that's when you get into the buying and selling. I've owned 130 amps, I mean, I own 5 probably, or 7 maybe, but to me they're like, in the words of the great Dumbo, they're hammers. They're there for the job, and you try different things. Part of it was market research to see what EL84s did versus 34s versus whatever. Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate, but once you're in the game, you're kind of just trading and adding a little money or receiving a little extra money here and there. So yeah, the Gear Page was a great place to beta test just about everything under the sun, only to find out that I still sound like me, for better or worse. But
Yeah.
it's a different conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody finds that out.
Yeah.
I think players, it's hard for somebody just to change their tone. So really, when you interview a new amp, it's like, does it do my sound, or does it do it a little bit better, or does it get me there faster? Or, so it's like a 7-year bell curve to actually go, wow, I used to sound really different. So that's what I found out with all my amps. So, but
that's cool.
So far, it's so good.
Yeah, awesome. Let's. I just want to say hi to everybody in the chat there. Hope everybody's doing good. Yeah, so I want to mention we have a link in the video, everybody, in the description. It's a link for Eminence Speakers. Please click it. Click on it. Check out their speakers. If you please purchase them if you're interested, because we're going to try to track, how often,
how many people are actually watching.
Yeah, and clicking. So please click that link. Exactly. It's right at the very top.
Even if you don't buy it, just click it.
Yeah. Just check it out. Just check out the page. Check out Eminence Speakers, all their line. So we've got that in the link in the description of the video.
So Rick here is trying to run me out of space at my shop with speakers.
Well, that's why
we have so many quads of speakers.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm throwing. I showed you a picture of what I just got today, which is like a 1973 or so Marshall cabinet 4x12 from a guy, stripped completely. Perfect. Oh, it's beautiful. So I'm gonna throw a bunch of speakers in there, and can't wait to try it out. But
yeah, don't feel bad, Dave. I'm actually flooding your friends too, so I can.
No, I understand. we got a cabinet loaded with the 70 platinum.
Yeah, the platinum 70. The platinum range. So
what is that speaker? 70C?
C for ceramic.
Yeah.
70 watts.
Okay.
Fundamentally, it's a lot easier than it looks. L for lead.
Yeah.
Okay. 12 for 12-inch.
Yeah.
Dashed because you need a dash.
Yeah.
70 for the power.
Yeah. C
for the material. So you can look at a 40A and go, that's a 40-watt Alnico. Assuming it's
gotcha.
L12. We'll have some L10s coming soon, but that is primarily for the Platinum series. So when I joined, it was like July of 2024, and NAMM was coming up around the corner. And I knew a few things, having accepted the job just not too much earlier, that I wanted to kind of go after and kind of start, putting our own footprints in the sand, if you will, and not on the shoulders of others. And one of the things was just making the speaker look clean and elegant and sexy, or whatever you think when you look at a nice looking speaker, and just a little less, with all due respect, just something a little less regional, and something where you could put something in the back of your $4,000 boutique amp and be like, hey, that looks killer, and not be like, let's cover that up, and some of the artwork they had and the other stuff wasn't bad, but it was just like, we have the Git Fiddle and there's some names. So I just wanted to just kind of re-identify, where you could look at and see the E with the circle and the crown and just know it was the Eminence.
That looks good.
The share factor. Yeah,
that looks good. I mean, it looks good. The speaker, I actually think the speaker sounds really good.
That's really nice.
You know, the problem with speakers is it's like, what do you want it to sound like? You know what I mean? Like what are you going for? What is your grail kind of speaker? And are you open to hearing something else as opposed to that, which is a problem I have probably, but I like that speaker because I do believe the funny thing is our friend Reza did a thing about it. And the thing about it, he did say it had a little bit of a feign in it. And I do believe it, unbeknownst to anyone, it does have a little bit of that in it. It is a slightly smoother, slightly darker speaker than, shall we say, the fizz of a Celestion. But it's definitely holds its own. I mean, when we were doing the ABs, I even, Pete Thorne comes in the room and I'm going, I didn't even tell him what he was going to hear. And we had an amp switcher switching cabs, just back and forth with two cabs right next to each other. And, and he's like, what am I even hearing? I go, well, is it good? Is it bad? Do you like it? He goes, I like it. Right. Like he goes, it's definitely not bad. It's good. Is it different? Yes, it's a little different,
Yeah. I mean,
it's really interesting. Speakers are probably one of the most ultimate tools for changing your tone.
Well, it's the exhaust.
It's the filter at the end of everything. You know what I mean? And you can, what's right? That's the problem. When you start being what's right, what's better, what's worse. Fuck if I know.
Oh, we make ice cream.
Yeah. It's a different flavor, Yeah,
it's like, and how do you describe Dutch vanilla versus vanilla bean versus French vanilla versus whatever. So it's like, we stand on a few things. Okay, so I had a lot of people say, I like it. You guys kind of took a feign and an old Celestion, but they're a little bit warmer. The warmer part was on purpose on this range, but we have like 45 models, so we have things that'll take your teeth out. It's fine. We have that option.
Yeah, sure.
We have 100. I also mellowed them out because who really needs 100+ dB speakers in a world of where your front of house guys barking at you to don't even bring an amp? Maybe
it's funny. You say that it's mellower than a vintage 30 or something in volume, but like if you're comparing it to say an old blackback cabinet, it's actually kind of similar in volume.
That's what I was aiming for.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm going to be more transparent in this discussion than maybe I would have had to been 2 years ago, let's say. Speaker manufacturers source their parts quite often from the same suppliers in some cases. So there's like 4 or 5 cone companies, really 3 cone companies, 4, maybe 4, that we all kind of trust and we like, and we have our own tools with them, and they press cones out a certain way. And if somebody else is using that same cone, it's just because we know that Ford needs Chevy, needs Dodge, needs Tesla, whatever now. So a lot of times some stuff is proprietary, and then there's some stuff that's fairly common. One of the things I changed was that, and they knew about that. I'm not telling engineers how to do their job, but I suggested the really good path would be to migrate to what's called a flat spider. So if you're looking at a speaker, you see the cone coming down, and underneath of it, you'll see the suspension, and sometimes it's yellow, sometimes it's a different color, and that's called the spider. And the stiffness on that, they all do 10% of something. And the old spiders were cupped, so the way they fit into the chassis. So we retooled a chassis, which is not cheap, to accept this flat spider. And the difference is when you were playing with overdrive, whether it was a pedal or your amp, and you were getting after it, and you start soloing, especially when you're soloing, you would hear, like with the cup spiders, you would hear like a droning clean note, like you doubled your track. and it didn't have a lot of compression or push, because a lot of what I think people perceive as tone is actually what they're feeling in their pick hand, like how it digs in and how you can really feel it resonate with you. And with the Cup Spider, you'd hear this clean, almost like a Voodoo Labs sparkle drive, where you can mix it back.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Which is great.
That's the greatest bass overdrive ever.
Oh yeah, just a little bit of,
because you can blend the clean sound in with it, and if you ever use it in a recording on bass or something, it's killer.
Oh wow!
Sorry, that's just
no.
That's just a side note.
Inside tip.
It sounds like you could probably start putting together rigs. I imagine you've done that.
I imagine I've seen everything under the sun. You know, it's funny how certain things just stand out, and like that one stood out. I didn't really love it for guitar, but I loved it for bass. It was amazing on bass.
A lot of country players, well, I play a lot of, I guess, country in my gigs, but it's kind of cool because it simulates a smaller amp kind of breaking up, just because you can bring it back so you can get clarity on your kind of chicken picking stuff. So, but I mean, I grew up playing Buck Owens and Buck Cherry, so it's
I mean, in certain elements, like you just said, I think the sparkle drive is kind of cool for that kind of stuff for sure.
It does a thing, which all these things do a thing, and that's what you're trying to do, is get the right combination of things that fit in with your flow. And so we migrated to this flat Spider, started doing these ABs, and it was just like, oh, okay, there we go. And then the way Eminence used to rate their efficiency was different, like where they pulled like when you're doing wattage on an amp, it's like, where do you want to grab that rating from, when it's right at the peak, or when it's kind of at its most clean breakup, or I know there's rules, but then there's no rules because people do different things. And Eminence was like, they kind of thought back in the day that like more efficient means more value, and it's like, we're now chasing the opposite direction because people want to get into their amps a little bit more and not have it, especially as amps have gone more, preamp driven and stuff. I mean, it's in a way it's smoother, but in a way you can also quickly get squirrely with the amount of presence or brightness they have. So, because it's not that big warm power tube thing. So, on that series, that's what we chose to do, is to do something a little more mellow, and then segue into quieter speakers. So for 10 years, I worked with my former colleagues on a quiet speaker, which they launched after I left. They used a different technology, so it's not apples to apples or vanilla to chocolate ice cream. They're using multiple voice coils in a certain fashion, and it's like 86 dB, so it's very quiet. The cone doesn't really even move, and it's definitely for your like home recording in the bedroom, baby sleeping next door thing, maybe churches or real dead stage. And I wanted a speaker that we could do gigs with, and was as conventional as possible. And so my engineer said, well, we can just do this with the magnet and then reintroduce, because when you take out magnet, you get just low wind. So we can actually reintroduce the mids and the top end. So we came out with a speaker called the Muse that we showed at NAMA, and they're just getting ready to go into production. And it's 92 dB. So it's loud enough to gig with, but now you're turning your amp to 7 instead of 4. And so my engineering lab was kind of going crazy, because now I have Eric Johnson on tour with them. He loves them. He told Gary Clark Jr. Gary Clark Jr. about him. And then I got a call the other night from Joe Perry, like sitting in my house. I'm like, that's cool. Hey. And he loves them, because he's like, speakers have gotten so loud, and amps like I used to be able to turn up my 100-watt Plexi stack, and it was loud, but you could do the gig. And now they're just like polarizing. He goes, this is the best thing. So now he's into them. So I've already got like the perfect artist roster, and they haven't even hit the market yet, but we found the sweet spot. And instead of a $275 speaker map, it's going to be like $155 probably, in that 150 to 160. So like your average speaker cost, at retail.
Right.
So, and it's a thing, I mean, I remember when you checked out, or we talked about the other ones, Dave, you're like, it's cool. Like you're usually, I never seen you jump up and down for products, but at least like that
Dude,
one.
but it's the same thing you were saying, just
Right, it
earlier
takes a lot
in
to get
your
you excited.
conversation.
Yeah.
It's like
Your 10 millionth thing you've seen this year.
it takes a lot to get really excited. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you've seen this all before.
I know.
You've seen everything before. It all comes full circle and then repeats itself again. I mean, it's just like fucking the same shit.
Well, especially with guitar players, because we're all working hard not to leave 1969, and where
absolutely. Unfortunately, too many people have left 1969 and not using amps and things, which is
as the demographic changes.
Like I understand the purpose, but it just doesn't sound as good. I don't care what you say, what you do, nothing sounds as good as hearing at least a moderate volume amp on stage with the band playing.
Sure. Well, you know what?
Stage.
Most of those guys turned out wanting a speaker. So now we have FR speakers, right? And because
of course you do.
So they have this rig that has 999 tones, but you still need a pedal board because you got the floor switch.
You still want a speaker on stage.
And now you want a speaker. And I'm
what's
like,
the fucking point?
What's your sound? They're like, oh, I like an AC-15 with a tube screamer. Why don't you just bring an AC-15 with a tube? Well, so fortunately fortunately that theory hasn't. I mean, we do IRs. That's a category now.
Yeah.
But really, it's kind of probably messed with the microphone industry more than the speaker industry, because now everybody's just popping off the back of that, feeding it to the house, and saying, "I want to sound like a 412 of these, and my little 112 will be my stage monitor." So IRs have done that. I would say that like for us, it's been interesting because we're just double dipping in the market. Like people are like, okay, now I need a FR speaker. What do you suggest? And it's like their whole purpose was to get away from it, but here they come. And not a problem. We'll help you out. So
yeah. So the Muse speaker. So describe it again. So it can go full. So like if your amp's like raring and and you're blowing really loud and like, so just describe it to me. I'm just
it's a conventional speaker. At the end of the day, you can go to eminence.com. Well, soon they'll be in production and you could just click and buy, because we sell direct now as well, besides our favorite retailers. And no, it's just a simple, your average 8-ohm speaker that you put in the box, but it's 92 dB because we've done the work in the magnet to optimize it so it's not as loud as it was.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So we basically turn the magnet into a donut somehow, but not exactly, and chord it. And then we did the work in the soft parts to reintroduce how much mid-range and top end we went. So we didn't keep it too dark or make it too off the charts jangly. And it just, everyone that heard it, it was like, I mean, at the same time,
what does it sound like?
Well, I call it the Muse, or we agreed to call it the Muse because we started with the 70 watt that you've heard, the L1270C. So, it's DNA is that speaker.
Okay.
But when you change one thing, you change a lot of things. So, it becomes a different. Now it's a Denver omelet instead of a Spanish omelet because you have avocado or whatever.
Yeah, but it says a lot when a guy like Eric Johnson is is on board.
Joe Perry,
with it, and Joe Perry, and then because I mean those guys are tone snobs, so to speak.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it was also Chris Masterson, who's with the Wallflowers. He wrote a text at the same time I was talking, because I had probably like 12 samples to send out, and that entire group of 12, those 12 samples landed in these 3 or 4 guys' lap basically. Mm-hmm. And all of them have come back, and Chris was like, dude, this is incredible. At first I tracked that. Usually I use a Princeton on 5 or 6. I was able to track with my deluxe reverb on 7, and then I took them out. He had 2 of them, and now they're on tour with us. And I'm using, he has one combo amp and another like head cabinet little piggyback deal. And he's like, my front of house is happy. It's like everything, no concessions, and it's just not taking your head off. Richard Fortis was, I'm dropping names like I work for the
That's
Hoover.
fine.
But you know, they guys are my friends too, so they're pretty honest. But Richard drove across Missouri, as he's based out there in the Midwest, and drove into Kentucky, and I flew up and met him, and he thought it was super cool. And we spent the day together nerding out on tone, and he was really impressed with some of the things. He brought his kind of main engineer friend that we know in the industry, and they were like, well, you guys are doing some really off the chart stuff, and it's just, but you can't launch it all like on day one, you know. So we're kind of like, we have a roadmap like everybody, and you're kind of bleeding it out there, and then, you know. But and he loved the Muse because he said it's weird when you take the SPL down, you don't hear the uglies, you know, the things that just make it bad. And the whole reason people build, like, you know, speaker diffusers to take the beaminess out of them, you know, and they don't hurt. And that's kind of been the I don't know, the mission statement of all of our new speakers. They're just there to sound good, not hurt you. And so the SPL, you know, we took down a nine. Like, most of the new ones are like 98. I mean, they're not miles off of your typical 100 dB speaker, but they're just enough to kind of take off, you know, that thing that can take your head off.
That's cool.
Yeah,
so you can take a plexi and really run it loud,
run it hard,
run it hard, and then just, you're not going to go any louder than 92 dB.
Yeah. That's what Eric's doing every night. Yeah, and so he really deals with tinnitus. So, like,
I know about that. Yeah,
not a new thing for guitar players. Like, oh, what key are you in? I'm in C, and and that's what he said. He was like, because he wants a solution, but he absolutely refuses to concede and use anything that's not looks just like what he's used to, his conventional.
Yeah, of course. He knows what he wants and
And so he had migrated using like a small box, like a 50 watt, and a couple deluxes. You know, first was the 100 watt and some twins in stereo, and I think he's back to using the rig he wants to use, and he runs it like about 7, you know, 100 watts, and then, you know, with his tube driver, and then on some gigs he's just using, like, I guess it would be twins. For a couple, maybe his travel gigs, he got away from using the big Marshall up in the middle and was using something else. But he's happy, and, you know, I'm fortunate enough to live not too far from Austin Vintage, and that's where Bill Webb works. And Bill Webb's his guy, his right hand tech. And
I know Bill.
Yeah, Bill. Yeah, Bill's a sweetheart. And then Jesse Duke, who also works there. Him and Bill working all the amps together. And Jesse liked it so much, he asked if I could get one. He tours with an artist named Stoney LaRue, who's a big in the Texas country. I mean, so you wouldn't have heard of him much out in California, but he's sold 12 million albums and rides around on a Prevost bus. So it's a very big, very big music scene here.
Yeah.
The red dirt kind of, it's almost like college rock, really, you know. And
that's cool.
And so his singer's now using one, and which makes everybody happy, because I guess Stoney used to like to wind up his amp a bit, and they it was Bill. They had a brand called Fulton Webb, which they still build some. They're kind of like one of the staples on the Texas music scene. And
I remember that. That's like ancient history there.
Yeah, it's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Steve Fulton, who owns Austin Vintage, and Bill Webb, the guy that makes the amplifiers go forward, and that's their collaboration. So,
right,
that's cool. Well, put me on the list for the Muse speakers. Yeah, I'd like to try them out. Absolutely.
I already put in the sample order to send some out. So it's
awesome. That's
don't send me anything more yet.
I know.
I need to get to what I have here already.
I'm sending them to Mark and Reza.
Okay, great.
Sweet.
Then they
I was trying to convince Reza, although I don't think he ever did it. I mean, he did some cool videos, but I said, why don't you do a video that shows the 70, the
Platinum. Yep.
Platinum 70, and the Carnivore, and the DV77, all in one video with the same playing. So we can really see, no one's done this yet. So we can really see what it sounds like.
Right.
There's been a lot of comparisons with the DV77 and the Carnivores, and there's varying degrees of differences on depending on who did it. And I don't think, from what I saw with Reza's comparison on a couple things, I go, that's cool, but let's add in this third speaker and let's get a definitive video out of it,
Right.
And because it seems like we don't have a definitive video of how these speakers sound exactly. I get varying degrees of, some videos the DVs sound really dark, some videos the DVs don't sound that dark, some videos the Carnivore sounds excessively bright, other videos it doesn't. I did have one guy did a video though that was the Carnivore, and after he beat it up for a while and he recorded it again, and it sounded totally different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's radically kind of different. The top end changed radically. And I was like, interesting.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we have a different manufacturing process than my former colleagues, and so things can change a bit. Not drastically, so I haven't heard that, but
I should point to the video to you. It was interesting.
Please do. It's the same rabbit hole at the end of the day. It's like, oh, what's the people call me and say, here's what I'm trying to do, and it's like, oh yeah, well, single coil humbucker. What's the voltage coming out of your wall? Is it humid where you live, or is it dry?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how do you quantify this information? And
I almost think it should be. I almost think it should be a mic placed in front of the cabinet and stationary. Cabinet marked on the floor exactly where it was, and then swap the speakers out and do basically an more in-room test. Swap the speakers out and go between each set of speakers. I know it's a lot of fucking work.
A lot of people do that. I mean, that's
I think that might, at least then you're going to get an idea, because if you don't have an idea what exactly these speakers sound like, it needs to be like a definitive, crazy, insane guy testing, like doing all this.
That's why I filled up your office with the speakers. So
I know.
Be the guy.
Yeah, but I'm not going to record the video. That's the problem.
Oh, right. Well,
but I am going to listen. I do, but I gotta get the time. The other problem, like I was talking to my employee Jamie, and I'm like, we're gonna have to just put clips on these speakers instead of soldering them, because this is like painful.
That's what we do. I can tell you the size. I'm always, trust me, it's my job to change speakers, so I'm always switching out.
It's kind of painful without doing that.
Yeah.
So what do? You just put clips on them? What do you mean clips?
Yeah, push on clips, like speakers, push on whatever they're called, the push onto the tabs. But but also how you wire the speaker cabinet plays part of the sound too, but that's a whole different story also.
Which you changed after you and Pete heard it. You said, oh, now I wired it the same. It's even closer.
Yeah, well, I got really anal retentive about the whole thing, and of course that's what I'm going to do, because that's how I'll do things.
Well, you have to, if you're making any like decisions of, does this work?
I think Rick, you should send a bunch of speakers to that YouTube guy, Sonic Drive Studios.
Okay.
You know him?
The name sounds familiar.
He's in I forgot where he's at. He's in Europe or Germany or somewhere. He does really, really detailed speaker comparisons. He's done some great speaker comparisons, and everything is exactly the same.
Mm.
So I mean, he's very good at that. He's a little on the heavier side, but I think he would be an amazing guy to have on all this new stuff. And he does it in a single like ISO cab kind of thing. So it's like one speaker. So, you could send 6 speakers to him or something of different kinds, and he could literally do the definitive video.
Yeah, ping me
of
this
the
info
different.
after.
I will.
Because it's possible, like the Carnivore was done with Christian Kola, who's a big metal producer over in Germany.
Yeah.
That speaker's been the number 1 and number 2 at Sweetwater now for weeks, and number 1 at Thomann in Europe. And then some of the platinums that we have, like 7 models in the top 20, so it's not too shabby.
That's great.
But I will definitely.
I'll send you a video that he did on a speaker shootout that he did with a variety of different speakers.
Yeah.
And I think you'll go, oh yeah, that would be a great guy to just do. I want a definitive apples to apples comparison of all the different speakers, and throw in a couple, stalwarts, of Celestion or whatever that we all know and love.
Yep.
By comparison, but to hear all of them in one video, I think that would be very useful for people's decision making on what they want to buy.
So yeah, I mean, for us, yeah, that's great. And if you want to ping me, I'll
ping you his info.
I might have already sent it. We've been
he's a cool guy.
We've been on.
He's not in Germany. He's like in Sweden, Finland, something. I don't know.
I mean, it's fine. It's all close. We have a internal distribution company in like central-ish northern Italy that it'd be easy. They have everything we make, and for the group, so that would be easy. I mean, and so we have a new website that's been. Caitlin and Jacob and James, our marketing team, they've been just pulling hair out, getting this new website done. And it's going to have a pretty solid display of tone clips and comparisons like this. And it's kind of a double-edged sword because it's hard to, I mean, we deal with the public and a lot of the artists who have now come on board, which I'm grateful for rapidly. But it's hard to like quantify what works for you and your rig. And so we need to get somebody like that, perhaps, that can really do some great videos, because we'll have great content on the new website, but we'll also have the ability to bring in stuff like that. And so I have 2 jobs in life. We have the OEM side. Dr. Z just launched a new amp with the 40A that you have there, Mark. Designed the amp around it. Loved it so much. So we have that side of the business going. Our job on that is trading off of, what makes the bean counters happy is like, where our ex-factory times are quick. It's built here locally in the U.S., so your time to factory is much sooner. You're not depending on a container ship and ocean. Containers, by the way, can be $3,000, and the same metal box has gone up as high as $21,000 in the same year. So
sure.
Or the truck from Kentucky, it might cost a little more in fuel right now, but at least it's something.
It's much better, better.
So that kind of stuff. So we're working on that front. And then our also pricing to the OEMs is something where, we've worked hard to give them some value. So we have that. And then, the cork sniffing side of the crowd. And it's hard because everybody hears something slightly different. So if we can give the most fundamentally correct comparison possible, somebody's playing a bit of clean tones, country tone, and the way we sell speakers, and to be honest, the way I sold them with my old employer was that, what are you going for? What are you trying to accomplish? What's your rig? Single coil? I mean, I will dive deep to ask some of those questions to find out. Just like you know, and or what artist do you like? There's a good place to start.
I find mostly the speakers reveal themselves more for me with a distorted tone, just because of the overtones and the harmonics that happen with that. I say the same thing about pickups and stuff. When you hear a clean pickup comparison on a humbucker,
right?
I don't fucking know. It all sounds okay. Maybe that pickup sounds a smidge more mid-rangey than that one, but I really can't tell what it sounds like until it goes into like a distorted amp or something, really. And then you're like, there we go.
Not just not any, but it has to be something like. I have my benchmark rig, so I know,
like let's say an old vintage Marshall or something, like a benchmark, something that something
that's something
something
So I try things like when we do. My garage looks like Speakers R Us. I mean, when we're doing a So if you need a speaker and Facebook Marketplace.
I might have some extra speakers laying around after a while too. So.
After you take those old ones out of your cabs, I bet you will. No, seriously though. I mean, we test them like crazy. I take them to gigs. I listen to them on in-ears. I listen to them in free air without in-ears. I have other tone trusted friends in the industry.
Yeah.
And some of them like sound good no matter what. Like, our mutual young friend, Tosh Farrant, he was like, all right, mate, I trust you. You've left. Therefore, I have left. What should I play through? And I only had 3 or 4 choices. And we happened to put a pair together, which was the DV77 and the CV75. And he took those out for a year in a 2x12 cabinet. And he came back and I said, well, what do you like? What do you want to do? Because we were doing we agreed to do a signature speaker because I'm trying to support the next generation of players.
Sure.
It's great that we still talk about the same 60, 70, 57-year-old guys, and I love them and I still listen to them and always will. But as an industry, we also need to kind of court
new young guys. Yep.
Yeah, just
absolutely
play like they're 60 years old. I mean, that he's forgotten to learn. Yeah, and his 12 fingers work great. So and he kind of said, I like both. Can you do something in the middle? And that's how we came up with the TCF 50. Like we did a signature speaker. I'm not usually a big signature guy because like only their fans are going to buy it. But if you play gypsy jazz, you don't think you can buy that big, even though it probably sounds fine for that. You just have this preconceived thing. And so, we've done the signature speaker with him and he was much easier to please because he just plugged it in as like, that sounds great. But it does sound great.
Yeah.
But,
using it with one of his many different amplifiers of all kinds of manufacturing companies.
He's quite discerning in some ways, but once he gets his sound, well, he's also, he's changed. I mean, he doesn't play with as much gain as he used to. And I've seen him evolve. I mean, they spend Christmas at my house, they park their tour bus on my property.
Yeah. No, I understand.
I've seen it go down this path and he's come so far. I mean, but yeah, I mean, he's got your couple of your white Friedman heads there that he loves. He's got some Soldanos now. He's got his Wizards but he's now he's in the phase of I want 4 amps on stage. So he's got he's got
the Joe Bonamassa phase.
Right. But he's also got the Joe. He's also going through the Joe Bonamassa business model because he sells product. Like he moves more merchandise per night than a lot of big names.
Wow. Yeah.
And so these speakers he's going to have on his website where he signs the cone and all the finest doctors and lawyers and are buying them.
His dad has really pushed that, hasn't he?
Brandon's a sales guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're quite. I mean, they turn his U strings into bracelets, and people pay. And I mean, but they do it, and it's that crowd. This is the blues crowd. Now, if this was Sabrina Carpenter, and pop musician, it wouldn't even be discussed. Like it probably was a digital device and buried in the mix. But because he's a guitar player and he's one of the few, there's a handful of great young guitar players these days that are coming up. But his crowd is still.
Dude, Tosh, I remember when he came into my NAMM booth in probably 2019 or 2020 or 1920. He was a little kid and he was like
fresh off Australia's Got Talent.
And he was ripping, man. He was ripping. And he was ripping then.
Yeah.
He's way more ripping now. I mean, like, he was just getting out of the awkward stage at that point. But he was ripping good, but he was just getting out of the awkward stage. And now it's like, well, that's a whole different thing now.
Is he a Friedman artist still, Dave, or no?
He's an everyone artist, it seems. I don't know, Yes, he still uses Friedmans.
No,
but he uses Soldanos and he uses Wizard and he uses a bunch of stuff. So
apparently he's a boutique amps distribution, whatever.
He's I won't say what. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So depends on who. Well, yeah. Never mind.
Gotcha.
He's had.
Why don't we take a super chat? I'm sorry to cut you off.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Please.
Oh, okay. Because we got a few people waiting here. Rick from Analog Eddie, big fan of your speakers. Has it been a surprise at how popular the Carnivore has been?
The Carnivore was yes and no. If you've met Christian, you're not surprised because that guy does not fail. He's like just very in your up in your space German dude. Is like, all right, let's go. I think the industry was waiting for something different. That's the whole, you don't need to have all the same eggs in the basket, and they were looking for something that did a certain thing. And we built 16 samples in 2 days or 3 days when Christian came over from Germany and spent those days with our engineers. And when one set of speakers was drying, he was trying the previous set. And he's like, okay, I like the bass from this one, the mid-range from this one. Okay, now let's go to this one. And they did 3 days. I mean, that's like, with all due respect, it would have taken in my previous job, it would have taken months to get that many samples. I mean, this guy was just because, they're a busy company, and we actually had the headspace to deal with Christian's needs because he was coming to our factory, and we actually parked the calendar for a couple of days just to get him, off and running. So yeah, I mean, we're just pleased. I mean, Engel picked it up in their line of cabinets that have done super well, and now to the point where they've been picked up. I think it was Sweetwater in the U.S. to start selling them. So that's really going to impact the numbers. And they're doing like a 112, 212, 412, like the whole family. And so short answer is like, yeah, we're a bit surprised and super happy. Because honestly, and for me, having, gotten to know a lot of people in this industry over 20 years and to switch companies, if I would have fell straight on my ass, it would have not been the best. That would have been a serious injury. So to come out swinging with something that went number one doesn't suck. So yeah, we're super happy for the support. I mean, everybody like Ola England, like all these YouTubers that have like telephone book numbers of followers, millions, and every one of them that had one of these, Christian had this laundry list. All right, you got to send one to Ola. You got to send one here, and he's expecting it. Could you get that? Became my job for like 3 weeks. Was just literally making sure that this population, because at my age, like I can go on YouTube or we can do this, but I'm not a tech guy all day long. That's not my world. I try to, I mow my lawn just to get away from it, and and this became So we're super super happy.
Awesome. Other question. This is for you, Dave. Sluggo FTW. What's going on? Thank you for the super chat, Dave. I have a 1982 Charvel neck Schecter body guitar made for me by Leo's Music in Oakland. First gen Floyd. Nice. Body is Koa. That's nice too. Original pickup long gone. Would the Seymour Duncan 78 A2 work well with a Koa mahogany like something else? Well, that's a great pickup, the 78.
I mean, the 78 is a great pickup. Would it work well with that Koa? Okay, I'm gonna just lay it out there. I've never owned a Koa guitar. I'll never own a Koa guitar, and I don't know why I'll never own a Koa guitar because I've never even heard a Koa guitar.
I was going to say, have you ever played one or heard one?
So, maybe I'm just opinionated about what I like. You know, I'm a pretty simple guy when it comes to that. I like alder. And alder. Okay, maybe a mahogany maple cap on a Les Paul. Okay, but I mean, I'm not really like, don't go that many different ways with body wood. So I don't really even know what a Koa sounds like, to be honest.
Is there a particular reason why you just migrate to alder as opposed to trying out other woods?
Dude, you know, okay. Also, northern ash I liked too. That's a whole different. That's a really hard, heavy wood. Yeah. I mean, just over the years of stuff I've tried. I mean, alder is the most neutral and punchy for me. Mm-hmm. It's not overly hyped in any way, shape, or form in like any direction. Swamp ash is very bright. It has a very bright top end and kind of a softer kind of vibe to it. Can be cool. I'm not saying it's not cool. I mean, straight mahogany, it's a little dark and a little muddy. That's why Les Pauls used maple caps. You know, they had a nice little snap to them. That's why that works really well. Mm-hmm. But there are exceptions to the rule. I'm not saying you can't make a body like we've made some Cali guitars out of mahogany before, and they came out great. And it has a sound. Basswood, I'm on the fence about. Basswood with a maple cap sometimes is cool. We did some guitars like that. Basswood alone is not my favorite thing. I think it only works really well for a humbucker, like a rock tone with a humbucker. Everything else, I don't think it sounds good for. So I'm just not a big experimenter with that. You know, I just like, I know exactly what I like, and I kind of stick with it.
I think the only guy that I know like out there who played a Koa guitar was what? Reb Beach?
Reb Beach. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, and he's pretty snappy and bright, you know.
But hey, I'm not knocking what you got because it could be fantastic. I'm not saying that it couldn't be fantastic, and I'm not saying that I wouldn't plug into it and it would be great. I just don't know. I really just don't know. I'm going to plead the fifth here on this one because I have no experience with Koa. Could the A2 be great? Could something else be better? I'm not sure.
The one thing I'll say with the 78, it's not a hot pickup. You know, it's kind of a medium wind pickup. Yeah. I think it's somewhere
9K.
Yeah, I was going to say 8.9, 9K.
Well, Friedman has a 9K A2 that we haven't brought out yet that I love. So
nice.
And then we also have another new pickup that's coming, which is the F80, which is a take on the old Jackson J80 pickup that like Joe Holmes uses and stuff. So that's another one that's that we're going to launch those at some time soon because I really dig those two pickups.
That's cool.
Yeah.
We also have Harmonicaster. What's up? Thanks for the super chat. Alpha Series drivers are impressive for their size. I use the 4-inch and suitcase amps and built a Pringles can amp for Josh Scott of JHA pedals with 2-inchers. Wow.
I ate the Pringles. Yeah, the Alpha is so our speaker range on the pro audio side, if you will, or all, you know, like multi-purpose speakers. They sound a bit like sorority row. So it's like, you know, or fraternity row, I guess, but it's like alpha, beta, delta. And that's, you know, has to do with the voice coil size, or it could be the, you know, range of cast frame ceramics. And, you know, there's reasons behind those families. And the alpha, you know, starts at like, I'm going to get this wrong, I really should know it, but it's 3-inch, 4-inch. You know, Eminence, we're here talking mostly guitar drivers, and we're the kind of kings of the bass market, you know, have been for many years. Ampeg was our first customer, but we have this whole other side of the business that's probably 60 or 70, probably 70% of the business is more pro audio or multi-purpose or emergency. Like we make speakers that go in tornado sirens. We make speakers that go in just all kinds of places, military applications. And we make, oh gosh, I think somebody at Disney told me that, you know, some of our small format speakers like this one, the 4-inch alpha, is we're in like 60% of the rides, you know. So when you're on the roller coaster and you have the music blasting at you, you have this little speaker that's most likely an Eminence as well. So we're kind of all over the place every day. I mean, 50-60% of the police cars, certainly in the US, if not globally, have an Eminence speaker. You ever hear that low rumble when they go through an intersection? It's like that. Whoa, 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 you know,
Yeah.
That's it. That's called the rumbler. So that's Eminence is there too. So you hear us every day. You just don't say, oh, that's an Eminence speaker I'm hearing, or it's part of a system, perhaps. It's so yeah, that little 4-inch, and it's really just it's a PA speaker. It's you know, it's for all intents and purposes. I'm sure it works cool in this little Pringle amp for Josh. And Josh makes great products at JHS, but yeah, cool. That's pretty cool though. I like that. I've had the Smoky amp from Bruce Zinke. Made the you ever see those? Those made out of a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and you can put it on a 412. Literally, like it's like
really.
It's like a half watt or something, or maybe it's 2 watts. I have no idea. And it was way before Class D or any of the new, you know, technologies were out. But
you ever see the ZVEX used to have a mini amp?
Yeah,
it was like, you know, it was using like some kind of military tube. And it, like you said, about a half watt, and you can throw that thing onto a. I've always wanted to buy that thing, and I never had.
Yeah.
You know,
just the little guy,
the little ZVEX, whatever he calls it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, we were talking. I was talking about Bruce Zinke's little cigarette pack amps, the Smoky.
Oh yeah, those are great.
You put that on a 412, and you're like, you could kind of do a little bar gig with it. I mean, it's not loud, but
yeah, no, for sure.
So I was saying these little 4-inch speakers are certainly suited. Like you'll find these on like Disney rides and stuff. They're like little 4-inch full range, you know, pro audio speakers.
Yeah.
Here they are in a Pringles amp, a Pringles can amp.
For Josh.
Yeah, for Josh from JHS. Yeah, the Pringle 50.
Did you do a video of it?
Yeah, if you got a video, just throw it over on the image.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, let us know. That would be super cool to check it out.
I gotta hit Josh up actually. I want one of his Morning Glory pedals.
He makes his pedals.
I love that
pedal. He makes great stuff.
Really cool pedal.
They really make nice stuff.
Yeah,
I love the I bought that. What is it called? The bender pedal. His tone bender.
Yeah.
Dude, that sounds great.
Yeah, Josh's pedals, and then Barber. I'm a big fan of like
the old Barber pedals. Yeah.
Barber direct drive. It's just like sounds like a JMP in a box, you know, like it's not very fancy, but
those were cool.
Yeah, and that's kind of for what I'm doing, because I'm planning to do an amp kind of up on the edge, and then I have my pedal board and kind of various, you know, Nick Rear has a couple cool pedals, and I use this Light Speed, kind of like the low gainer, and then like a the Green Rhino, which is kind of like a tube screamer with a bass and mid control, treble control. That's it, you know, a couple levels of gain, and give me a Pringle amp.
There you go.
Nice. Hey guys, we should also do our sponsors. So make sure you guys check out Sweetwater, and while you're there, so we have a link
Check out
below.
the Eminence speakers.
I love
check out
Sweetwater.
Eminence Speaker. Yeah, Sweetwater's
Well,
amazing. We love Sweetwater too.
old buddy Matt Duncan. Yeah.
Oh, who's that?
Matt Duncan has moved up the chain a lot, though.
Matt Duncan is senior, so he's
He's the guy calling me.
I gotta pay reverence when he walks by now, where we used to hang out and maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
He's done well.
Yeah, so check out. We have a link below, an affiliate link. Just use that to purchase Eminent speakers or a Bricasti reverb or whatever you'd like. And
Neve console.
Exactly.
We keep hoping for some of these things.
Yeah, a new desk, whatever, But yeah, click the link below. We also have legendarytones.com. Check out Legendary Tones for their hot mod, the Evo. They also have the Tim Caswell 39 version, as well as the Mr. Scary. So check out Legendary Tones. And then Thomann. Check out Thomann.com.
Thomann for all your European guys.
I love them too.
I would imagine they carry your speakers also.
I'd imagine that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Thomann is cool.
Did Rick freeze?
Did he?
Looks like it.
Rick, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
You froze up for a minute.
My bad.
Yeah, I think your internet froze.
Was I making a cool face or a bad face?
No,
you looked like you were posing for.
No, you asked about Thomann, and we were number one there too.
Okay, great, awesome,
cool, very cool. Here's another question. This is a good one. JP Cody 123. Thanks for the question. Asking Rick the typical nerd request for a Van Halen story. Yes, we love those here. Also, is there a real difference in a GTM 12 greenback and a GTM 12 EVH other than the label? Blink 3 times if you're still under NDA and can't say.
I'm not sure where you get the T part, but yes.
So greenback and greenback EVH, so the EVH. No, I went to his house. It was about 2007 during the LA Amp show. Andy was out, and I had a call from Fender. I went to a meeting at Fender, and I was in their music room, and I saw the Untolexed 412, and I said, "I know what that is," and they're like, "You don't see anything," Like, okay. And a few months later, they were asking for samples and some pricing, and then they said that Ed wants to meet with you and Matt Brooke, and I'm like, sure. So we went out to their house. We kind of snuck out of the LA Amp show and went up there, and it was like, I was so I don't get nervous. Like, I rarely get nervous, but it was like that. He was so important to me as a youngster, and like every other.
Of course.
Yeah. And I thought this could be the best day of my life, or it's going to suck. And,
and go one of two ways.
Yes, it's gonna let me down or what. So, anyways, you go through the gates, and there's the big house up on the right, and then an apartment over a garage to the left, and you look up the hill, and it's 5150. So we pulled up, and I get out of the car, and he's standing there, and he has a half shirt on that says, "If you ain't Dutch, you ain't much," and he had his camouflage pants on, and his duct tape boots, and his hair, and
that era.
He was kind of going through it. This is like, let me just do it now. It's like 2007, 8.
He was going through it.
Through it. And but he was super sweet. He's like checking out the rental car. And I was like a Chrysler the Baron or something. I don't know, it's whatever, National Rental Car gave me that day. And he's like, this thing's got great lines. And so anyways, we went in the house. We spent the day there with them. It was the day after they had their first rehearsal playing the old Van Halen song. So it was like, he's like, I don't know who's going to sing for me. I got one trying to replace Howard Stern, trying to be a jock. And then he goes, I got the other one, off getting another medical procedure and trying to, have a bar in Cabo. And I don't care, but I'm going to play a tour with my son. And Wolfie was like 15 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Ed was like, yeah, like he's going to be the youngest artist since like Stevie Winwood to go on this tour. And he was really super stoked about it. And it was showing us, I remember because he didn't know how to use the big remote. It was one of those remote controls for like seniors. I have the giant numbers and letters on them. And he's like, Matt, how do I get this video to go? And Matt got it going, and it was great. So Ed, moving on to speakers, said, I don't care which one I have, because at the time Celestion was manufacturing things in England and China for logistics reasons, because a lot of the big customers were building in China and trying to sell an amp at a big box store for $7.99. There wasn't room for $20,000 shipping containers, so they moved some production to China. And he says, I don't really care. I like them both. And back in the day, like Kerry Wright would build my cabs for no matter whose company I was working with. He was working and he would load them with greenbacks. And when he recorded his earliest stuff, it had some JBLs in there for the clarity. And so we just chose the Heritage Greenback, which, to answer the question there, that's what it is. It's a Heritage Greenback with a label change. And he was fine. Like we said that at the time, Celestion said, that's not our place to talk about. Like, we were always very careful. Like, that's your secret to give or keep. And he was like, no, I don't care. It's fine. Yeah, it's I just want I want it to match my stuff, because I'm coming out with this new brand, this EVH brand at the time. And that's what it was. And it kind of turned out to be a blessing to build them in England, because that was what the world wanted, I guess you could say, probably. And they've moved other models back there for that reason. It really does matter to guitar players. And yeah, and then when they have extra black rear covers, they come out with the black backs. Hey, so no, it just that might be the case, it might not be, but yeah, that's the story. So they are the same speaker, and to my knowledge,
they have different from the Heritage. They have the different speaker clips. They have the square speaker clips like everything else does.
You're right.
The vintage ones.
Ed was very picky about that. He actually swore that soldered speakers sound better.
Well, yeah, but I mean, what I'm saying is the Heritage had the original clips,
the hook
on it, the hook, and then the ladder had the big spade. The EVH ones had the spades on it. But yes, they're Heritage, but Heritage later got discontinued.
The first Heritage had hooks. I mean, the first EVH also had hooks.
Oh, did it?
But then but then that was too hard to build in production.
All right.
Instead of just going pump and popping on the connectors, it was like soldering.
Yeah.
Just put a hole in the cone. Okay, start over. So, and then eventually all the Heritage migrated to, most of the Heritage, I think, migrated to the push-on tabs, which are fine for the 98%ers. Some of them did, because we had end users that can't solder.
But then the Heritage went away.
Some of the Heritage went away, yeah. Because they started making regular greenbacks in England again. So it
okay.
Hey, if I ran the company, I would have stayed there. Yeah. I run this company partially.
I understand.
Yeah. So I'm here to make good decisions for you, Dave.
Right.
Decisions you won't talk about on the internet someday. But hey, they've done a great job. You don't celebrate 100 years doing everything wrong. But
no, of course not.
On that specific one, it's just very much a numbers game. Like, people were more happy to pay 140, and honestly, the power handling between the 20 and the 25, they were only called 20s because of the test equipment back in 1960s. They didn't have AES certifiable test equipment, so they just kind of turned it up and went 20. And then Jim Marshall said, well, my valve head is 100 watts, and that means my cabinets are 80. Can we raise the power handling? And they turned it up further and went, 425s equal 100. Is that good enough for you? Good enough for me. And that's how but they did, I think, on the 20s, I can't get away all their sauce. Or my next phone call will be from a lawyer, but they might be a little bit different in the SPL, the volume of the speaker. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they did something. It's not a label trick, but the EVH was absolutely, he was happy to have either speaker with his look. So
that's cool. No, it's great to hear EVH stories.
We got a lot. Yeah.
I had the original amp that he came out with, that white 100-watt head with that 4x12 cabinet. I wish I hadn't sold it.
Me too.
Have one. It was killer. It sounded great.
Blue Channel.
I have his.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
With the cigarette burns on it too.
wow.
From that night, you have that?
I have one of the amps that was from that party night.
Nice.
His backyard party.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's killer.
I mean, it's not something I play ever, but I have it. Yeah, it's cool.
Well, that's a nice piece of
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I wish I would have kept more. I have some cool things, some of the amps that Dumble worked on and stuff, but nothing that was like documented, so I wasn't out to get them with that kind of thing. So, but that's awesome. I was at the concert. So did you go to the friends and family dress rehearsal?
Yes, I did.
So I was in the front row. I'd been there for a lot of the day and dealing with Matt and some stuff and listening to Wolfie and his dad sound check. And when they were doing that, I thought there's no chance this kid will ever be a singer. And now he's like phenomenal.
Oh,
he was a 15-year-old kid, like doing the Peter Brady change, and and I'm watching them. And then at 5 o'clock or whatever time they let the public in, and I ended up giving 2 of my seats to Zach Wild and his manager. And then my other 2 seats went to George Lynch and Danica's wife.
Yeah.
And that was the night that Zach jumped up during the first song and went, yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah, I was there. I watched it happen. Yeah.
He was next to me, and David Lee Roth goes, hey, man, get off the stage. No, I'm not kidding. Get your own fucking band, Junior. Excuse me, I don't know what I can say on here, but you have an edit button.
No, you're good.
You do whatever, say whatever you want.
That's exactly what he said. Get your own fucking band, Junior. And Eddie's behind him going, he doesn't recognize you. Sorry, and it was like, and Zach was maybe still having some beers back in the day. This is going back 2008, 7 somewhere, and they got the security was running at him. I go, that's Ozzy's guitar player. And they go, I don't care if it's Jesus. He's getting off the stage. And they pulled him down. He never made it on the stage. He was standing on the subwoofer array that went across.
I remember this. Yeah.
And I right behind me, I got like Tom Morello. It was like the who's who. And I'm like speaker nerd, like in the front row. And they pulled him down. And like, you could see Zach was just like, like beer sweats and like kind of like, bummed out. But then like after 3 or 4 minutes, he was like, all right. And like him and George talking across me going, oh, did you see him do that? Oh yeah, he's got it. Did you see it? Oh man, he's got it. Uh-huh. And they played their ass off. That'd been the first time anybody had seen them really together on stage in 20 years, I guess. And it was, so those memories are pretty awesome. And that YouTube, that it's still on YouTube somewhere, that clip where like it's like whatever, Zach gets owned by David Lee Roth or whatever the clip.
Yeah.
And it's a different.
I remember that.
So, you were there.
I was standing back.
Were you in the key though? Like
no, I was standing back by the console.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
was that
somehow back there somewhere? I don't remember exactly why. I'm standing back, just in open air. Seating, standing.
Smart.
Yeah.
Was that before they went on tour? So was that their friends and family that went before? Yeah. So I went to the opening show in Charlotte.
Yeah, as I say, the next night they were leaving.
So you would have got the fresh version.
Yeah.
So to speak.
I went to go see that show because I didn't even think it was going to make it down to me. Like I was like, I don't even know if they're going to make it to Fort Lauderdale. So it's like, I'm going to see that fucking show.
Well, eventually it imploded, but
Yeah, I know.
It made it halfway through that one, and then that's when Ed, they kind of got him off the road and cleaned him up. He got a haircut, fresh bleach tips, and a new grill, and he was ready to go. And honestly, through the years where I would continue to kind of engage with their camp, he really kind of held together after that. And
he did.
But man, that show, because I remember them, they had rented. Was it the LA Civic Center? Or was it the Forum?
The Forum.
It was the Forum, and they had rented it. Yeah, Civic Center was Guns N' Roses, but they had 21 days of rehearsal, and then that night was remembering my LA radio station. I think it was KLOS and Live Nation and just like so there was like 1,200 people allowed, and then the place seats like 20,000, 15,000 people.
Wow.
And and it was crazy. Yeah, it was
cool.
It was cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. By the way, although I hate to switch from Van Halen to this, but I was just curious, a completely different band. Have you guys heard of this band, Angine de Poitrine?
No.
I know the name, but where are they?
They're a Canadian band. You guys got to check this fucking thing out. I've been like obsessed with it for the past 3 days. It's this completely strange. It's a 2-guy band. They're looping stuff. It's microtonal prog music. The guy has like double the frets on the guitar and double the frets or more frets on the bass. And they play live and they wear these freaky costumes and they are fucking wild. I mean, like I was just listening. Rick Beato's already done a video on them. So they're called either Angine de Poitrine or Angine de Poitrine. Check them out.
Oh, I'll check it out.
Yeah, I would play it, but we don't need to play their video. But yeah, it's super cool. It's like it gets in your head, and you're like, okay, why the fuck am I like repeating this over? It has nothing to do with Van Halen whatsoever. It's like really strange music, but but it's really it's very interesting. And speaking of new bands and kind of new people, and they're blowing up all over the fucking place.
So they're using like a 36 fanned out frets or something, like those crazy looking.
No, guitars. Not the fanned out frets. No, he's got a double neck guitar, bass. It's a bass and a guitar on top, bass on the bottom, guitar on top, and they're looping stuff. And he's got a drummer, and they're just wearing these freaky big nose costumes and polka dots, and people call them Slip Dot.
I think I've.
But yeah, they're wild. They're a wild band. I don't know.
DV77 is Mick Thompson for Slipknot. That's funny.
Yeah.
Slipknot. So yeah, I will check. I think I've seen a video clip now that you say it, with the noses and the kind of, I don't know where it was, on the big old internet, but there was something I think might have come up. I'll go back and
I'll send you guys the link when we get done.
Yeah, I'd love to have a proper listen.
Yeah, it's wild. Harmonicaster says Josh Scott Pringle's amp is on YouTube. Oh, cool.
Perfect.
I'll have to check that out.
Perfect.
Rick, can you talk about cabinet designs? This is Joshua Alanese. Thanks, man. Cabinet designs, and talk more about Kerry Wright. Did you notice any difference with his cabs? Weren't his 4x12s shallower? Yeah, let's talk about cabs.
He used Koa. No, I don't know. He used
his 4x12s were not shallower though.
They weren't shallower. He was the only builder that Dumble trusted, besides Dumble doing it himself, to build cabs. I remember when Kerry passed away. I mean, I think I had
wonderful guy,
super sweet guy.
I love him.
And it was, somebody's rig was at his place being finished when he sadly passed away, and I remember making that call, and it was difficult. But I don't know about his. I mean, that's a lot of Eddie's touring cabs were built by Kerry, regardless of what company or moniker was on the front of them. At least from, I would say, the mid '90s, if you will. I'm sure he used some of the brand's cabs as well, but the ones that he was miking up. But I don't know if they were. I mean, all I know is the construction on them was just. I don't know if it was.
It was
dado cut or I don't know.
The 4x12 was basically a vintage Marshall 4x12 build. He actually used, as far as the joints go, he actually doweled them.
Doweled. Okay, yeah.
So it wasn't a traditional finger joint or anything. Actually, it was doweled. It was doweled, glued and doweled, and he goes, I hate fucking making these.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm just gonna charge more because I fucking hate making 4x12s.
Yeah.
Wow. I remember, yeah, because he was a friend of mine, and I loved him. He was a cool guy. I knew him originally through Matt Brock, and yeah, who was a big Carrie restoration guy. Carrie was amazing at restoration too. For like if you needed something retolexed or something redone, and it's amazing work.
Wow.
You know, I know like Lenny Kravitz was a big client of his, and you know, he did repro cabs and things, the big Fender cabs and stuff for stage and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, he did a lot of those the striped cabinets, you know, I think on the earlier PV stuff, and then some of the EVH. I don't know about the EVH, but
I don't think he did the EVH ones at all, but he had done some things with this. I think he striped some of the cabs or something on the PV ones.
Right.
I can't quite remember that story, but
yeah, they were. That was. I remember that being the backdrop.
I wonder what happened to those. They just disappear. You don't like. I don't
in a
know.
warehouse.
In storage.
Yeah, storage. Yeah.
You think they're hit? He still owns them? You think?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think none of them were sold. I don't think.
Oh, it's Landau. That's who I had to call when Carrie passed away. Landau.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, Mike was used a bunch of his stuff.
Yeah, and yeah, crazy. The stories, the books I could write someday. And it'd be a smaller book than you could write, but I think just when you're behind the curtain in the industry and the stuff you find out, or how people are, the things they say, it's just like, I don't know if I thought this was how. I didn't think it was going to be like this, but it's cool, you know.
Yeah.
It's a small.
Yeah, and occasionally it's like, oh,
yeah,
that's how you feel,
right?
Okay,
right.
You know, there's occasional that happens.
Well, then it becomes a job, right?
Then it's like, okay, let's just not talk about this.
Yeah.
How about I pretend I didn't hear what you just said?
Right. And that's common.
Yeah, I mean
there's always a yin and a yang, you know, and it's
absolutely
normal. You know,
I mean, I went with Ed through the darkest of times. I started working with him in the darkest of times, so that was interesting. You know,
well,
it's interesting.
I forget when we wrapped up the day. No, it was probably 11 a.m. We got there fairly early. I remember thinking, this guy's up early for a rock star, but he was quite the tinker and be out there with the soldering iron or, you know, working on something. And we got there about lunch maybe, and it was probably 2:00, and had this bottle of wine.
Oh yeah.
And I thought we were going to toast. Like,
no, that was his bottle of wine.
As I found out, I think it was called like Yellow Loon or something. It's like $9.99.
Smoking Loon.
That's what's it called?
The
Smoking Loon.
Smoking Loon. That was it. Yeah, it was like $10 from the Ralphs at the bottom of the hill, right?
Absolutely.
And
which is probably where he got it from.
And he probably did. And I just remember him saying, like, I don't do nearly the drugs people like to say I do, but I do like some wine on occasion. And I'm like, dude, you could. But he was a funny guy because he's like, hey, you know why I don't wear a shirt on stage? And like, we're trying to negotiate like which speaker, how the label should look. He's sitting off to the side, like trying to catch a cigarette in his mouth, and he's doing like the old Red Fox thing. And we also go, no, Ed, why? And he goes, well, look, check it out. We go up there, we sound check, and we get out, and we do some other stuff, we go to catering, and then it's time we play our first song of the night. And after 2 or 3 songs, it's getting pretty warm up there. So I take it off, they hang it backstage, and when we're done, I dry off, a little deodorant, I put it on, and I'm good. And I'm like, this guy could tow a Nordstrom's behind his bus, you know. I mean, but he's like, and he would always remind me, like, I hung out every day at his house. I didn't, but you know, a handful of times. And he said more than once, he's like, hey, I'm the son of immigrants and we come from humble background, and I can't be wasteful, you know. And
yeah, I heard him say that too.
Yeah, if I can keep my shirt clean, I'm going to keep it clean, you know. And it'd be easy to think, why don't I just go to the closet and grab one of the other 2,500? Because you could see how I dress, you know, like a hobo half the time. And I'm like, hey, you don't do any wrong by me, man. Keep playing. So he's a sweet guy.
Yeah.
So
That time with the shoes that had the tape on it and everything, that wasn't a great time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that was like I said, that was it. I mean, that was started in like that last Sammy tour when I started.
Oh, that's
before
04.
that.
before
That was 04. So it was probably 03 when I started
Wow.
doing stuff. And because then the 04 happened, and because I did his rig right before that tour. And yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting thing. I mean, but still, I mean, even in the darkest of times, he would he would pick up a guitar and he'd play a little bit, and you'd be like, oh yeah,
dude, he had a little
there it is. There it is. But I mean, there's also times when it wasn't so great. It was like, but it's still, the thing that always got me is when I was sitting there going, man, the 15-year-old kid in me right now is fucking freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, like literally freaking the fuck out, because
I can only imagine.
Edward Van Halen is standing in front of me, 5 feet from my face, playing some shit, and you're just like, what?
How did this turn out?
I had the same thing.
How did I get here?
Yeah, he would
a wonderful guy.
He had a Line 6 amp in his living room. And
yeah.
And he's sitting there and he's noodling just like we're talking, and he was always fidgeting when you're trying to talk business, right? So he's playing it, and it just, I'm like, how did you get that to sound like a 68 at 118, whatever, like sound like him? And it proved tones in the bones. That's what we always say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when you're walking through 5150 and it's got like the guitar laying against the wall with 3 strings off of it, and like, is that from Women and Children First? Is that the one from the album cover, the shark guitar?
Man. No. You go through and you're like, oh, there's the SG, Les Paul or SG that he cut the horn off.
Right.
For Dirty Movies, so he could reach. He got a hacksaw out and chopped the horn off so he could reach the slide part up high in the neck. And you're like, oh yeah, and there's the other one. There's the shark guitar hanging there.
He's like, it's a piece of shit.
You're just like, oh god, some of the guitars that were ruined.
Yeah. He goes, yeah, it's a piece of crap. He's like, it's just part. And I'm like, yeah, but it's your piece of crap. And it's an iconic. And then he showed me the little tiny kids toy synth device that he played. Was it Walk in the Park? Or
yeah, the little tiny like keyboard.
Yeah, and it's like a Toys R Us looking thing.
Yeah,
and it had like little green, stage tape on it, so he could see what to play in concert. Yeah, and it was like, oh, I could have saved a load of money on gear if I would have known I just had to be creative. They're telling me how he played the intro to like Run with the Devil through a Marshall 412, and that's the speakers you hear going blah, blah, blah. That's a guitar cabinet, that he played. Just speakers are dying, but
amazing.
So
Tris Mahaffey, what's up, man?
I know that dude.
Cool. He's a great show as always. Rick is the speaker whisperer, the speaker tone chaser. Love the new Neo testing. It now as we speak. Wait, what do you say? Love the
He's testing it now as we speak.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. Rock on, guys.
I meant
awesome, Tris. Good to see you.
Tris is a good dude. Builds great amps and is an avid dirt bike rider, like I was all my years out west racing desert.
Nice.
Awesome, man.
He's down like Laguna Hills, I think, area, so South Orange County.
Yeah.
And he's just a fan of lightweight. So we figured out how to do, and to be fair, the Celestion guys did a great job on their Neo Creamback for that demographic. It doesn't want to pick up 80-pound amps. And I don't blame them. Part of the Platinum series, the third head of that family was the Platinum Neo. So it weighs 3 pounds. Actually, it was one of the ones, Dave, you heard that day, and you're like, what's that? When I brought those 112 cabinets.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like 98 dB, and old Neo speakers used to be like 102, and they felt tight and real immediate sounding.
Yeah.
So we worked that out,
Mm.
and it's basically, it's part of the platinum range, and it's the lightest Neo in category. So I think it's like 3.3 pounds for like the British sounding category, I should say. And I played it a couple months ago for like an hour out in my studio, my office, and I thought I was playing the 70C, but it was actually the Neo, so it's pretty convincing. And it'll shave like a lot of weight off like a 212 combo. It'll literally drop it, 15, 20 pounds. So you can actually pick it. So you don't have to have your friend pick it up, so you can actually carry it. So
Yeah, cool. Significant.
And it's a certain crowd. People are like, Neo. But as the demographic moves on, you can only have so much Advil, so it's like eventually you're like, I got to concede something, and there's a big crowd that just wants to like a grab and go amp, something like with the technology I saw around your booth, maybe, like that kind of thing, like where you can just pick it up.
Power amp.
Yeah, and it's like it does the job convincingly, and it doesn't need to be a boat anchor.
Yeah,
so.
Right.
There's a crowd for that too. So,
yeah, well, true. How's that going with that product, Dave? Is that still planned on coming out?
Yeah. Everything's planned on coming out.
I mean, later this year, though.
As far as I know, yeah. I mean, everything's planning on coming out. It's just,
the roadmap.
It's just trying to get it out is fun.
No, I know the parts you were waiting like on the chips. And everything.
It's still fun. It's fun getting that done. It's like, and whatever you think's going to take, it takes longer.
Yeah.
There's no, there's nothing we can do about it. So everything's taking longer. I don't know. I mean, our transformers are taking longer. Everything's taking longer.
Speakers are quick. I actually,
yes, they are.
Yeah. I actually failed, I should say, that, since you're talking about that project.
The Wampler power amp test.
Yeah. And Taj failed it.
Yeah.
And like, I never failed that test. I walked in on day one at Celestion and told them which one was a vintage blue, which one was a Weber, and which one was a new blue. And they're like, you weren't supposed to get that right. Now, I might have guessed a little bit, but I kind of know what I'm listening for. And I was like dumbfounded, where I just was forced. I had to make
you can't hear it. Yeah,
and I'm like, it literally like just takes the DNA and sucks it out of there and puts it in there. And it's like,
right.
I can't wait to use it. It's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Silly.
Super cool.
Rob M 709, what's going on? Thanks for the super chat. Hey guys, another great show. Always appreciate your guests you bring on. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
You got a parallel mixer question. I'll email you if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Just email me.
Thanks again, Dave, Mark, and Rick. You got it.
I am going out of town Sunday for 10 days, but I will still be answering emails, of course.
Japan. You're Japan bound.
They might come in at odd hours though, because I have no idea. Like
Mosh.
It's like very ahead a day. And
are you working there, or are you just
no, it was vacation.
So
that's awesome.
You and the missus are that's cool.
Mrs. and the son.
He's gonna love it.
Okay, nice.
It got way more expensive to take the son.
As it does.
It always does. Yeah.
It's like, an extra hotel room. Okay, fun.
Oh yeah. Nice.
How is it that we have two people in one large hotel room and he gets one person in his large hotel room?
But you don't want three people in one large hotel room. Whatever.
No, we don't want the third. No, he's too old for the third now.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen anymore. No.
Hey man, I can get a family of 4 in a Holiday Inn on the way to seeing my wife, my in-laws in Arizona.
Well, you can.
I don't love it.
Want to?
Nobody's happy.
I'm sleeping in sweat shorts, and I'm the last in line with 3 girls to use the restroom. So it is what it is. But
I've done that too. Believe me, I have 2 kids. We've done the one room with 4 kids, and I've done it. I'm
like just sharing space for 7 hours, right? And we'll get back on the road in the morning. So
Yeah, and also I have a boy and a girl, so even there, you're like,
Oh,
okay,
okay.
it makes it even more complicated. So
Like you get
yeah,
to
but
sleep with the boy and your wife sleeping with the girl.
exactly. It makes it all, but now they're too big to even. So everybody gets their own shit. So
Yeah, that's
uh,
probably the next trip will be everybody split up and get your happy place. So.
exactly. Let's see what else we got. We got a question here from James Guitar Corner. Rick, can you confirm that Eminence made speakers for Herald in the late 60s or early 70s? I have a pair that have square magnets that are awesome. Closest to vintage greenback I've ever heard.
That might tie up, and this might be a little bit special for when Dave comes back, but I'll double check with my engineer if there's a way that I could take this comment and respond to it in the first of the week or this coming week, because there's a chance. So Harold might have been the company. I wonder. So he's saying close to a greenback. I'll have to double check, to be honest. We did some pretty trippy speakers, including speakers that Jimi Hendrix used for a little while, that he was stripping out his Marshall speakers and putting these in. But I thought they were either Standell or some kind of organ company. But he had a tech that was still with us who confirmed in the family estate wanted to do it, but I don't think it's this speaker. It's a different.
There's some square magnet Eminence that used to show up in orange cabinets. I remember.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. But we have, because Bob Galt worked for CTS before he started Eminence.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, he was a chemical engineer. I think chemical engineer. I'll be scalded Monday when I get it wrong. But he was an engineer, and really, he had his fascination. He picked Eminence, Kentucky, because it was right between his supplier and Ampeg, his first customer. So he got out a map and bought a plot of land, and off it went. And we're right up the road from that original factory today. It's like a block away. It's not a big city. I don't want to throw you off.
Right.
Kentucky's a farming, basically old tobacco farms, and beautiful. It's on the Bourbon Trail, and it's amazing. It's all thoroughbred farms because of the Derby right there in Louisville, which is 35 minutes away. And but I'm not sure on. I mean, I was only born in '68, so I don't totally. And I've only been in the company for 18, 20 months, so I don't fully know the history. But there's a very good chance, because we did make square magnet speakers, and but I'll have to check on the Herald thing. And I'm happy you can hit me at rick.skillman at eminence.com, SKILLMAN, rick.skillman at eminence.com.
Cool.
And I can get that question answered for you.
Cool. So talking a little history of Eminence. So they started in '66. Were they always a speaker company for guitars and musical instruments, or did they start out like for stereos, or was I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, Ampeg was the first customer, and I think the goal was like 15 speakers a week, like 15-inch speakers or something of that nature. And they and that's who they started supplying, and then it quickly I mean, a lot of the choices people made back then, it was logistics. I mean, we know that Marshall started for a reason, and then Jensen, and then Park started because of this dealer didn't want, so there's all these, you can read it all online, but it's and we ended up being a component supplier, and kind of in tandem. I mean, most of the history was around MI, and there's a whole interesting, we kind of have like a museum in our lobby, if you will, and like the first Eminence speaker ever made, and like just some real interesting facts, and the FAQ on the company is pretty amazing, that I have not totally absorbed into my system, though I've heard the story many times and been on the factory tours with various customers who travel to see us, and so I've heard it a few, but I mean, mostly it was MI, musical instruments, and then at the same time, in parallel, kind of started going towards like pro audio, at the same time, tornado sirens and police cars and Disney rides. And so it just kind of all went. And then each channel kind of found its identities for like lead guitar, bass. But I mean, the thing that was probably difficult for Eminence for many years, especially competing against them for many years, was that they didn't have that. They were doing a lot of Me Too on the guitar side. Bass, they led the way. People copied their speakers to make great bass speakers. On guitar, for a long time, it was like, this is our version of a Vintage 30 and our version. And, they had comparison charts. Like, if you have a greenback, here's an upgrade to our private jack, or, and it was and the only thing that happens when you do that is you just build the original brand. And even some of my, people that are still friends will say, like, why would I go buy that version of a greenback if I can just buy a greenback from the company that makes them? And so, and so back then they were just a great OEM supplier. So when you'd buy a Fender, it would say special design, Fender, and it might say Eminence somewhere down on it.
Right.
And we are a reasonable solution before the prices got driven down. The race to zero, never ends well, but if you try to get close to zero, you can sell a lot of amps. And there eventually that category became kind of tough, but everything above that, home cinema, I mean, just interesting fields. But it was important for us, at least when I started, to start establishing ourselves as a brand. And we can still continue, if you want to put your own label on it or buy Eminence in small letters, we'll still do that, but remaining diversified while building our brand and not building somebody else's with Me Too product. But yeah, we've always kind of just played in all channels. So I guess, I check back with you and I can give you the absolute story, but I know
that's cool.
Speakers, then it was, general audio speakers with.
No, that's great. Yeah, I'm just curious. This is a good question too. Fowler 8989. Which Eminence speaker would be best for someone chasing that Eddie Brown woody tone?
Oh, boy.
That's funny.
You should probably say best to be determined.
Yeah, well, because we've just redone a few models. So we've talked about the Platinum Series a few different ways. Then they had the speaker company called Eminence had the Governor, a Private Jack, Wizard. I remember because I was at the NAMM show and it was like probably 2008 or 9. All of a sudden they launched like 36 models, or Eminence launched like 30, tons of them.
Yeah.
Stonehenge, the Swamp Thing, just loads. And at the time I was at Celestium, we're all scratching our head going like, how many sounds can you get out of a cone and a magnet? I was like, it's crazy. And then those kind of ran hard for a while. Then eventually the losers fell off and the winners kept going. And we've actually grabbed a few of those and now migrated to that flat spider I was talking about. And we're relaunching a version 2 that looks way different. I'm pretty sure some samples are cluttering up Dave's.
The samples are sitting here in my front.
Just arrived yesterday,
and they have to make it into the test cabinet.
Yeah, well, don't keep me waiting. I'm my heart's beating, but we had a speaker in that family called a Private Jack. And in the world of what Eminence was doing in the past, they would say that most compared to a greenback, which was Eddie's sound. And
right,
like the difference between a G12M and a G12H is literally only the magnet. And H stands for heavy and M stands for medium. And Ed liked magnets that were closer to probably 36 to 40 ounce, whatever the M magnet is, I forget exactly. And the Private Jack is comparable to that. So,
but there's probably going to be a reboot of that, I imagine, too.
I'm currently sampling the reboot of that, and it's good, but I don't want it to be that. I'm not going to copy like that exactly. Now we are working on a different thing that's more inspired from what would have been Eddie's first speakers he ever probably played through in the 60s. Right. And that's a whole different monster that I do not feel bad about going after, because we've actually invested loads to get the pulp right in the cones, and we've done some tricks that I can't say when or what, but it's
sure I'll be seeing some samples of those too.
You're gonna want them. So
I want them. That's awesome.
Yeah, they're really, really good, and they are, deep dive, really deep dive, and
that's awesome.
Just because there's not another company, present company included, former friends or former employers that are really interested in doing that. Like, it's next level. And the thing about with Eminence, like, we do custom speakers for company, and this is not a commercial, but the honest truth is, the way we're set up, we can do like custom pieces, like 100-piece runs, or maybe 50 if it's the right speaker, but smaller, where the other big speaker company out there is not set up that way. It's a different. They are more now probably out of England, I would say, to be fair, can answer those smaller requests, but we can pivot a little easier, and because we sell direct, there's not really a pre-qualifier. If we know it sounds good and we've shared it with a few trusted ears. So this one particular project is, we're taking our time because we're really looking after it. And it's not meant to be, it's more like, if you really love that speaker, you're really going to love this speaker. We're not trying to make it look like that, but it's definitely, if you're into that, you're going to be into this. And that's what I'll say.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Fast red car pony Pat. Well, let me read that again.
You got a fast car.
Fast red pony car. Are Sweetwater the only online retailer selling the Jose in the U.S.? And I think it would be is Sweetwater, but
I think that's a good question. I mean, we sell it, they sell it. I thought we opened it up to other retailers too, but I don't quote me on that because I don't deal with the sales.
Okay,
so I'm not sure.
Stephen Douglas wants to know, did we talk about Mike Soldano's partnership with Eminence? No, we didn't. I didn't know there was a partnership.
Well, they had Soldano version. Eminence made some Soldano speakers a long time ago.
Okay.
They also made Fryette speakers too. Or what was it at the time? VHT?
Yeah. And we made small blocks for Splon, and we made, we were like a great solution, because like when I started at Celestion, they wanted customers only who could buy 4 pallets. And I'm like, there's 246 amp companies, and like 14 could buy 4 pallets at a time. And Eminence and other companies that have come along since traded on that. They're like, hey, we'll do 50 for you, hot pink. It's like, whereas Celestion wanted to see like 240 pieces or 480 pieces. And it was just a different, they were geared different. And they've changed that a little bit, I think, by manufacturing back in the UK. And that was part of the reason, because their parent company had quite high MOQs. But because of that, enough about them, but because of that, we were able to, we were attractive for some of those guys like Stevie Fryette and some, Mike, I went to Soldano's shop a few times up in Washington back in the day, and he was just using Eminence Legend. Maybe it was slightly tweaked, I don't know. And it was an attractive price point, I think, because it was a fairly standard speaker. And then, see, the problem is I did a good job for 20 years of getting people onto Celestion and off of Eminence. So now I have to go back and go, just joking, so because I've known all of these same guys and John Sears, and they're all friends.
Yeah, that is a difficult little slight uphill battle, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going the right direction. Look at the artist.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think you guys are doing really good stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think,
but we have to do it.
And I think to nail it exactly. That's what is that? I'm not sure what that is, but
yeah, and well, that's the hard part. It's like interpreting art.
Yeah,
It looks like this. To me, it's funny, and you're like, that's a bunch of lines. How's it funny? And so it's kind of like we can get it up to the certain finish line, but how people are going to play it and it's going to be interpreted different. But yeah, I mean, we're working on the library of clips, and we have this whole kind of like FAQ section. I'm talking about the website. Marketing girls probably watching, going, "Don't say that." But does AI fit in our world? Well, maybe an FAQ when somebody goes, "What's the best sounding speaker for my 412?" Do I have to have somebody on the team answer that for the 3,000th time, or can we take the best of 3,000 answers and make that an automatic response? We'll see. Yeah, we're getting there, and it's weird because as a working player, and I like what I like, but if you own a hot dog stand and every 1,000 people come for a hamburger, guess what you're making tomorrow? You should probably consider at least a few hamburgers. So, I mean, it's, I'm trying to build stuff that I hear on the street, and I don't think you can run a business like this unless you're into it, unless you're involved. I see some of the big names in our industry, and they got the Fortune 500 guys and the suits and ties who couldn't restring a guitar to save their ass, but they are certainly good at their job and running companies, and it's been proven on how they've grown. But I think like critical element, the critical tone elements, you have to be hands-on and go out and use the stuff and put it through its paces and understand, like, this is the job I want this speaker to do. Not just does it do my job exactly, but this is the type of person that's going to play, and get it in the right hands of the people that can make it do that thing. And then make sure that they're being brutally honest when they come back and say, it's really good, or good try, guys, so, and then we go back to the drawing board. So, but we're getting there pretty, 18 months, 20 months at it. And we're in a unique position, being the only, transducer company in the US that can supply in volume. There's our friends down, WGS in Kentucky, something about Kentucky, a lot of speakers coming out of there, and, they do a fine job, but most of their business is probably more online, e-tail, although I think they have their dealer network too, with all due respect. But Eminence is we've got a good story, and they'd gone through a bit of a difficult spell just trying to find their identity, and then they were purchased by the group, and the group just said, we're going to invest because we believe in this company, and we made the changes, and they made the investments, and we have a beautiful distribution center that they've refitted in the back warehouse with the pretty racks and fire sprinklers, and we distribute all the brands through there, and we ship same day if the orders if we have the order by say 2 p.m. East Coast time, it goes the same day. That's why Dave's room got filled up so fast, because I sent an email, and 3 hours later they shipped it out.
I know.
And I remember, and that's how our orders are too, by the way. And the better our standard range is, the more the OEMs, like so far Z and a few others out there, literally Dave Coltai from Supro said that's the best fucking speaker I've ever heard. He's a pretty discerning guy. So, we're doing the right things, and the artist who just said, hey, we trust you. And so we're super, super fortunate. It can go multiple ways. And
it's awesome.
Downhill the fastest. So it's been going all right.
Sounds like you're doing a great job, Rick.
Yeah,
absolutely.
One of my artists, he just responded from Australia. Watching Tone Talk at the moment, and I saw that Mark mentioned that very viral Aguin de Potrine on the podcast. So, anyways, this kid texted me from Australia. Right, he's a fantastic player. He was second guitar with Taj for a while, and he's his own certified rock star down in Australia. And,
oh, that's cool. Yeah, that band is crazy. It's a crazy band.
Yeah, I gotta check that out.
Yeah. So Joshua Alaniz again. Celestion that came in Supros, is that a Lynchback? I don't know.
Yeah. I just gave you like a Dave Friedman answer right there. No. Dave Coltai was a big fan of the Lynchback.
That's enough to be said right there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Ask them. I don't work there.
There you go. Check check out on the internet. Maybe you can find that one out. Douglas Elbert 311. Thanks for the super chat. Don't see a question though.
Nope.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thank you. Let's see. Joe McGraw says, "Love Eminence speakers, especially in a closed cabinet."
Thank you.
Cool.
And let's see. Eminent speaker, are you going to put up merch on the website? I honestly like to buy that hat Rick is wearing. Oh, nice. A few people made a comment on that.
I got a garage full. No, yeah, I mean, we are working on some idea. We've done like limited edition, like at the NAMM show. We've come out. I mean, the two that I've done with the company, we've done 3 to 4 different shirts per show, and I remember a time in my career where the shirts they gave out were just like tissue paper, like one wash away from being used to dry your car with them. And I'm like, no, I want some like Gildan or like quality. And I'm a big dude, I want something that fits nice and, feels good. And so we've actually, each show we did like carnivore shirts. We've done a 60th anniversary. We've done tons of colors of the hats, but we don't really sell them. They've just been given. So come to NAMM, walk straight back to the Eminence booth, and I'm sure I could outfit you. But I do hope to do merch. There's companies you can contract with that do that. This is more probably a call from the marketing team.
I think your marketing team answered here. They said, yes, we will work with the team to get SKUs created and get them up over the next few weeks.
But
there you go.
But Rick's the fashion bitch, so we're going to work together to make sure it's the right stuff. So clearly, with my T-shirt from Eddie Bauer and my cool hat. So
you're selling hats because
there you go.
Nice modeling the gear tonight.
Make the curve hats and the flat bills for the wrappers and the mine somewhere in between. So people love merch, and they kind of like the fact that you cannot yet go to your big box store and just get. We're not at Kohl's next to the Aerosmith shirts or you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's kind of like more unique right now, but yeah, merch is something we've talked about. Clearly my colleagues are watching from across, probably in Ohio and in that region. And
that's great.
So yeah.
That's one of the rare occasions we've had actual, like, the company talking in our chat, which is cool.
Yeah,
I like it.
Well, I don't know if it's Caitlin or Jake or James. I think I'm going to get the band wrong, and then I'm going to have an email in about 20 minutes. But it was James. Wasn't Devil Wears Prada? Maybe they can re-comment which big band that James has actually played in for a long time. They decided to kind of get into the it was a metal band because Caitlin, she's head of marketing over there, and for the group, because we have 4 brands within the group. So you see my title's my title, but we also have a centralized marketing team, that's who spoke. And she and her brother and they're metal as you get. They go to the Down Low festivals and the Chugga Chugga Cookie Monster Vocal Festival. They love all that stuff. And like, we own the metal market, honestly. Like, Eminence is huge for all the real metal guys. And we do some work like with Mike Smith. He kind of works with us on occasion from Omega amps, but he's also Mick Thompson's guitar tech. So he actually worked with our engineers and designed the DV77, and they're getting ready to work on a DV77 too. And he brought a lot to the table before my time to help them understand how to make a more legit British sounding speaker.
Right.
And that flat spider. He knew about that, introduced it to them. I didn't know him very well. He'd done some prototyping with Celestian, but I didn't really talk to him direct too often. And then I showed up saying, we need a flat spider. So we kind of were telling the same story. And so he's helped us out quite a bit, and he's getting ready to work on another version. So when you were asking earlier about the differences, they certainly have their own sauce. But in the world of speakers, you have about 7 components, maybe 6. I don't know. It's not a lot. It's not a laundry list. And so the DV77 set such a bar, and then the Platinum was like, what if we take that speaker and how it performs, but we change some of the soft parts, maybe how the doping's done. We change, so it does have different parts, but it was the starting point. And then Christian Cola was like, I like the DV77, but I want to have a little more upper mid quack. It's not quite as dark, So then we changed a bit in the magnet and changed parts and took it in that direction. So the DV77 was actually the speaker that spawned these other two. And then Taj's speaker is kind of its own thing, but I guess using the flat spider and that same chassis, because that chassis works really well. So we've commonized things a bit instead of having like, if we have 60 speakers, I think we had 50 chassis at least, it seems like. And now we found something, like we found the right foundation to make the cookies good every time. It's just going to be chocolate chip, oatmeal, and now I'm hungry. But you get
that's cool. Shiny Beast question. What about 8-inch speakers?
Yeah, we do the Legend, I think it's the 8512. And we've had more call for that for smaller speakers lately. Because especially it's funny, like in the little kind of digital amp realm that's become a thing, kind of like the office amp and then now they're starting to come out with models big enough to play like a power trio and a pub style thing. I'm talking, it's like the Positive Grid style, and there's amp companies like that.
Right.
A lot of them are using like multiple 8s because they're doing like a stereo, image, class D power amp type thing. And then, there's guys that have the old, was it like a Champ, I guess, and some of those older, amps that had 8s. And so we have a few in our range. It's hard to make. The less cone you have, it's hard to make it do as many things. The more surface you have, the more motion in the ocean, if you will. But as you get a very small cone and the dust cap's pinning it, that's what a dust cap does, is kind of pins the cone, and then the surround is the other. And when you have less to work with, it's hard to make it like, you're not going to come out with a Pulsonic Era 8, you can come out with a nice 8, but it's going to be different. So we've done a good job with that little Legend. It's quite versatile, and it was made for Fender Champs. So I'm pretty sure to do the job, unless you're trying to play like tuning down to C and chugging, but
right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Good speaker.
This will be our last question for the night. JP Cody 123. How do you approach the fickle guitar player market that seems to always want to compare any new speaker offering to legacy products that are decades old? Getting buy-in seems to be a huge obstacle.
That's what Dave just summarized. He wants us to do is compare the current speakers to the old one.
Well, it's more about a reference point. You know what I mean? Right. I don't know.
It's not saying that you're comparing it and saying that you want to be like that speaker. It's just saying that here's another speaker just to compare what our speaker sounds like.
Do you like the new one better? Right. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't, or maybe you're stuck on seeing the name. I don't know. It's
people have all of that, and I have people every day come up and go, well, Jimi Hendrix used this one, or Ed Van Halen. Ed Van Halen used those, and I'm like, he didn't even know about our speakers. Like, I don't think anybody sent him samples to try. So it's like, it's not an apples to apples race, and the fact. Probably slightly to our detriment. And maybe eventually I'll come around. You got to remember, I spent 20 years in the trenches preaching to one choir. And then I brought some knowledge and being a tone nerd myself to like, here's another way we can drive this company that's probably spent too much time in the past doing the Me Too thing. Mm-hmm. Me Too things are only great for things that aren't around. Like, I think they do just sound like, the Beatles. But if the Beatles were still going and you have something to compare. So, I get it. So for those players, I just ask them, like, how much effort have you gone through to make sure you have oxygen-free patch cables and a switching unit that's buffered correctly and molars and basket weave on your 412. You've gone to everything, but you're not willing to try a different speaker to see if it maybe helps you achieve your sound better.
Yeah.
You know, I also heard 20 years of bitching about what people didn't like about certain speakers.
Mm.
And I've used that as a tool to fix. So it's like, if you didn't like that, you might love this, because this is based on 20 years of hearing crap about that, you know. So I've addressed it. That's why Reza and a couple of people are like, dude, that does exactly what I like, because I hated how the other ones did this. You know, they make great speakers. I can't take away a history that's so entrenched.
Yeah.
I would be like an idiot number one, regardless of what my wife says. And, yeah, that would be dumb. They're legends, and they fed my family for 20 years. So they're my friends, but I'm doing something different, and manufacturing's more difficult than ever. Logistics are tough. And we have models you can trust me, or you can trust the numbers of Sweetwater and the fanfare it's getting and the artists that are using them. So it's not good. You know, you don't have to I'm not asking anybody just to move everything out of their total rig and switch, but it's probably okay to have one or two other models splattered in there and let the dogs run, see how they do.
Well, you know what? I think the thing that people, when it comes to speakers, for whatever reason, they lock on to one or two speakers that they like, and that's it. But everything else in the guitar arsenal, we're trying everything else.
Up for grabs,
right? Yeah. I got 50 guitars. I've got 150 pedals. You know, like all these things that we play with to try to get
not the speakers,
but not the speakers, right? And the speaker, as we said at the beginning of the show, is probably one of the most.
It's the exhaust pipe.
Right. It's the most tone shaping part of your whole rig. So give it a try. Try out other speakers.
We used to teach people, like when we go to office hours at Sweetwater, we would teach their sales team, like, if you can't sell the entire amp, don't let that call go without saying, have you ever just considered changing the speakers in your amp? Right. Because it might get you a lot closer, you know. And so we compare art. We tend to, you know, that I was just working on a cross-reference list for Caitlin from the marketing team. It's like, if you love this artist, they tend to use this kind of speaker through a British amp, through a heavier, you know, 22 fret guitar, you know, whatever you want to say, you know, they use Les Paul. So yeah, you want to sound like Slash, here you go. And some of them, no, I mean, Celestion had the game with the names, you know. So for us, it's kind of like, well, we were inspired by this kind of sound, but we wanted to do this with it and refine it. You know, you can buy a Porsche Boxster, and you can buy a 911 or whatever the newest, latest, greatest thing is, you know, and they both work fine. It's just one's going to give you a different vibe than the other, you know.
Yeah.
Buy them both. That's my solution. So
yeah, absolutely. And plus, swapping speakers is not that hard. If for any people who are out there and thinking like, oh God, I'm going to swap a speaker, if I can do it, and I'm like the everyday guy, believe me, you could do it. I have no special skills. So I've been able to swap speakers in my cabinets, in my combos. It's not that hard. It really isn't.
Yeah, so. You can, and like our website, or you can get a hold of us. I'm on different forums. I can be found. But you know, the size clip you need to buy, you literally get a wire stripper, you know, get your infant to do it if you can, but literally just strip the end of the wire, slide the clip on, pinch it on there, and now you can have like the that goes onto the spade of the speaker. You can just clip it on, and and it'll work fine.
Which is what I'm gonna have to do.
Yeah. That's
you're not going on tour every time you want to check out a speaker. If you love it, then go buy the soldering iron. It'll be there tomorrow. From Amazon, and then you can solder them if you care to. I do 4 or 5 sets a night. You know, I'm doing 2 concerts, you know, if you're a rock star, you know, doing 20 songs, like, oh, that was tough. And I'm like, that's called halfway. And and then it's going in the back of my truck behind the seat or somewhere, and driving 100 miles home at 2 a.m, bouncing around. The clips are fine. I mean, you just give them a little extra squeeze on there. And now if it's a cabinet, I really just, okay, I'm sold. These are the speakers. Then, you know, I might solder them in just for my own, you know, headspace. But, and we can even tell you the size clips you need. Like the spade fittings are all uniform. I think I'll get it wrong. I think at Home Depot, you can buy them by a bag of 100 for like $3.
Nice.
It's like a 0.605 or something like that. There's, whatever the size is, number 6, I think.
Yeah, and Fast Red Pony Car says speakers are massively cheap too compared to all the other stuff players are willing to throw money on at chasing a sound. Absolutely. Yeah, we'll spend thousands, but you can buy a $150 speaker and it can completely radically change your whole rig sound.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
More than the $5,000 Klon.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, Rick, it's awesome having you on, man. Thank you so much for joining us, and your help sending speakers my way, and I'll be convincing Dave he needs to swap.
Just a couple. We don't want it all.
You don't have to convince me. I just have to get.
I know. I'm just joking. But no, I really
want to hear him too. And then it's like now it's just like I compare him to certain things, and then I just like, okay, now I kind of know where it's sitting,
Yeah, and then you just say, "Do I like it?"
It's like, what's different? Okay, here's what's different. Okay, do I like that better or worse or whatever?
You qualify.
Like I like the platinum ones. Those
the
those
70C
those are
great.
cool.
Yeah,
they sound good.
I'm not here to sell on you. I mean, you know what? You're not building all of your amps for you to buy yourself. You're building them for your customers. Yeah. So the numbers it's all in the numbers, and we have a nice respective bit of business. And, with your entity of group of companies, we do a nice bit of business already. So if it can work, cool. The new ones I just see, the governor, well, ask Caesar, from ministry. He spends a little time at Boutique Amps, and he's sold or he's so. I've armed your troops with the weapons of So
you armed me too. I have a bunch of sitting here. So
but I do appreciate you guys. That's pretty, isn't it? I appreciate
it. It's great. It's a really nice looking speaker.
Yeah,
the coil in there is black.
That was the goal, and we can do them in any color for the OEMs out there watching tonight. We can. It's like a bag of Skittles. You want flat black paint. Those are powder coat. That's not a cheap process, by the way. Powder coating is, it's like piano black finish powder coat. We had to buy bags to put them in when we ship them, just to.
Yeah, I saw that.
They don't show up all fingerprinted. So we went the extra mile because it's the Platinum Series, and then there's plenty of more. The new Governor, the Mark II version of the Governor and Wizard. I'll let Dave hear him, and he can ask a friend.
Yeah, I have no idea. So I'm gonna
crazy. That's my favorite.
You like those?
The Governor really, and that's the one. Even at NAMM, people were like, "Whoa." I mean, and the Yonoko, because the type of music I play, the type of rigs I play too. But
we're gonna listen to them when I get back.
It's a good one. Well, safe travels to Japan, and both you guys. I've known Dave for over 20 years, and Mark, I've enjoyed our chats, and I
same here.
Appreciate you guys having me on behalf of Eminence, and we appreciate all the friends out there.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you so much for Eminence for supporting the show, and Rick for coming on. Really appreciate it. As our buddy Vinny says, amazing show tonight, gents. We appreciate it.
Hey, Vinny.
Check out our next upcoming shows. We'll post online. Dave's going to be gone for a couple weeks, so we'll figure out who our next guests are coming up and stuff. And so hang on, Rick, while we say goodbye. All right, everybody have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Take care.
See ya.